Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Avinash, and in this video, I'm going to discuss about S3 interview possible questions. Right. So again, as you are aware, I started a video series on possible interview questions. I already completed the IAM service, so this is second video as part of that series. So I hope you find this video helpful. Right. So again, one more thing. If this is the first time you are hearing about S3, or if you don't have much clarity about S3, I already made a video on this S3. It's available in our YouTube channel. Go to playlist and you can see there is a video mastering Amazon S3. So just within 2.5 hours, you can get good amount of knowledge on this S3 platform. This is 2 hours, 15 minutes, 16 minutes video. These are 20 minutes. The remaining one is approximately 20 minutes. So within 2.5 hours, you can gain good amount of knowledge. So I recommend you first complete this video. So then you continue with this interview series one. All right. So when coming to this S3, so what exactly this S3 and S3 stands for? S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. So what is the purpose of S3? So in S3 platform, we can store all, basically S3 is an object-based storage. It is designed to store all the objects. So these all objects we can access from our servers. We can access from different tools like ETL tools like Athena or Glue. So it's actually designed to store the data, and we can access the data from various services. Also, we can use this S3 for backup purpose. Also, if we have any like tape libraries or any of the backup softwares, you want to take a backup and you want to upload that backup to uh, somewhere else, you can use this S3 platform to upload or store the backups. So that is the primary purpose of S3. And you can expect one question, um, how you are using S3 in your current project. So S3, as I mentioned, it has various use cases. We can store the data, we can retrieve the data from different services. Also, we can use it for storing the data and retrieve for ETL tools also. Or we can use this S3 platform to store all the logs. We have a VPC, and VPC is going to, we want to monitor the VPC traffic, or we want to monitor the load balancer traffic. So, or you want to enable CloudTrail logging and you want to store all the logs into an S3 bucket. For all these scenarios, we can use S3. Not only this, you have some static data. For example, you designed a website like YouTube, and you want to store all the video files, and you want to whenever any request comes, you want to process that video files. Okay, so to store that static video files also, we can use this S3 platform. Not only that, S3 also has an option to host a static website. So you want to host a static website that doesn't contain any backend database and all. So still you can upload all your content onto an S3 bucket. You can map your domain name. Also, if you have customers across the globe, you want to deliver data with less latency, so you can integrate this S3 platform with CloudWatch, CloudFront distribution. So that is a CDN service. Then you can deliver all your content. So these all are the use cases and purposes, or primarily how we use S3 in our real environments. And now, when coming to this S3 features, questions on the features, primary features are versioning. So whatever the whatever the bucket we are taking, if you go to properties, we have an option called versioning. So this versioning help us to protect data from accidental deletions. If versioning is enabled, whatever data we are deleting, we are going to get a delete marker. You delete the delete marker and you can get the object back. So this help us for accidental deletions. And whatever the data we upload to this S3 bucket, technically we call this as a objects. And another question, what storage class you are using in your current project? So if you got this question, most of the times we are going to use S3 standard as a storage class. So, but along with S3 standard, we have different storage classes like infrequently accessed, one zone infrequently accessed, Glacier, within Glacier, again, Glacier Deep Archive, Glacier Instant Retrieval, and we have intelligent tire storage configuration. So where we can find all that. Whenever you upload any object, if you go to properties of that object, you can go through all the storage classes. So which storage class you are using and why is one question you can expect. You mentioned whatever the data we are storing in S3, mostly we access it frequently. So we are using this frequently S3 standard for frequently accessed data. And after some days, we are going to move the data to infrequently accessed, then Glacier, then you mentioned you are deleting the data. Now you can expect a question on this scenario that okay, how you are performing this transition. You said you are using S3 standard, then you are moving it to infrequently accessed, then deleting, or Glacier, then deleting, right? So are we going to do this manually? No. You mentioned in our S3 platform, we have an option called Lifecycle rule. Whenever you are configuring Lifecycle rule, we have an option to filter like entire bucket or specific folder or specified tagged objects or specified size, and we can move the data from one storage class to another storage class, whether it is a current version of object, non-current version of the object. Whenever you enable versioning, right, we are going to get non-current version of objects also. So you can configure transitions from standard to infrequently access, then infrequently access to Glacier. So then at some point of time we want to delete, right? You can configure expiration for current version of the object. So you observe this value. On day 0, we are creating day 60 object expiring, and yeah, I accidentally refreshed. Okay, so on infrequently access, we are moving it to after 30 days, and Glacier, I'm moving it to after 90 days. And at some point of time, I want to delete, so I'm going to delete after 180 days. So on day 0, it has uploaded 30 move to infrequently, 90 move to Glacier, 180 days object deleted. So with the help of this lifecycle management role, we can automatically transit the data from one storage class to another storage class, and also automatically we can initiate to delete the data, no manual options. Okay, so that is about storage classes, versioning, and lifecycle role. Now, so let's take a scenario. You have a bucket in this account, and whatever the data you have uh, whatever data you have in this bucket, now you decided to replicate this data to another S3 bucket that may be in same region or another region, or maybe in another AWS account. So is it possible to replicate automatic data transfer? The answer is yes. It is possible to replicate data from one bucket to another bucket. For that, we can use an option called replication. You can create a replication, and you can define where is your what is your source bucket. You can apply filters, and where is your destination bucket. We can have destination bucket in same account, or we can have destination bucket in another AWS account also. It need an IAM role, and we can even encrypt the data for replicated object. We can even change the storage class. Then we can configure. Right. What are the common issues you faced while you're doing this replication? Sometimes what happened that the object may not replicate properly. Okay, you upload some data to source, but it may not upload to target bucket or destination bucket. How you are going to troubleshoot? We can verify the object and replication status by navigating to object properties. And also we can go to replication rule. Whatever the role we created, whatever the IAM role we created, we need to review whether we have appropriate policies for that IAM role or not. So that we need to uh, verify if replication is not happening. Also, we can verify this encryption also if you are replicating to another AWS account, whether the destination bucket is enabled with any other encryption key. So does this replication rule have permission to use that encryption key or not? So you need to take this role and you need to add that permission on the encryption key. So with this, by verifying this, we can fix that replication errors. And also, you can expect some more questions on encryption. So what kind of encryption you are going to use in your S3 platform, and which service you're using for encryption for your S3 data. So if you go to properties, if you observe, see, there is no option to set this encryption to disable. Whatever data we are uploading to S3, by default it is encrypted, but with the SSC S3 platform. If you don't want to go with SSC S3, then you can choose SSC KMS option. In this SSC KMS, so we have a KMS service. With the help of KMS service, right, we can create an encryption key and we can apply that encryption method on this S3 bucket. In this encryption, in this KMS option, we have DMKs, the default master keys, that generates automatically. Whenever we are start using S3 platform, this generates automatically. But on top of that, we can create our own encryption keys called customer managed keys. Create key, symmetric or asymmetric. S3 supports only symmetric key. Click on next, give a display name. So who all need permissions for administrative permissions? Who all need usage permissions, right? So who then you can create, then you can start using that encryption key with this. So if anyone trying to access data that is already encrypted, right? So how we can provide that permissions to that IAM user. So whether a user or role trying to access data from this bucket, and if this bucket is already encrypted, we have to provide key usage permissions. Whatever the encryption key we are creating here, so that for that user, if the CLI user want to access, this PB user want to access data from S3, and if that bucket is encrypted with this key, they must have this key usage permissions, then only they can access. Right. So again, this question you can expect as like, in this manner, you have an S3 bucket, you have an IAM user, he has S3 full access, he is trying to access data from S3 bucket, but he's not able to uh, access it, is giving permission error. So what might be the reason? How you are going to fix the issues? So for this question, not only IAM permissions, you need to verify KMS key usage permissions also. If the user don't have KMS key usage permission, he cannot access S3 data. It will give access denied error. And on top of that, you might get questions on like events. So let's take a scenario where you have an S3 bucket. When something uploaded to that S3 bucket, automatically a Lambda function need to trigger. So how we can configure? For that, we can use this event configuration. In S3 bucket, we have an event option. We can select the event whenever put object, that is nothing but upload, or post operation, copy operation, whatever operation happening here in this S3 bucket, automatically we can invoke a destination. We can invoke a Lambda function. We can send a notification to SNS topic, right? So with the help of this events option, we can configure. And also we have an option called CloudTrail. Basically, this CloudTrail is a service to enable logging on all our services. We have CloudTrail, and that help us to enable logging. So this CloudTrail enables by default, and if you want to store all the logs into this specific S3 bucket, we can use this CloudTrail. And we have transfer acceleration. If you want to boost up the speed and all, you can use this transfer acceleration. So no big usage. In real projects, this option, if you have customers across the globe, if you want to boost up the upload or download speed, we can use this transfer acceleration. And another question you can expect on this S3 bucket is, so what is public access on this S3 bucket? How we can restrict public access of for our data, and what is bucket policy, how to configure that bucket policies to restrict that public access and all. So you can expect that question. So generally, whatever data we are going to upload into our S3 platform, So we can make that object public. Once we upload an object, it will give a public accessible URL. So by disabling this block of all public access and by changing that object ACL or by applying a bucket policy, we can make that object public. But making data public is not secured. So we can enable this feature. So this feature will automatically protect resources from making our data public. So block public access help us to protect our data from making it public. And bucket policies generally it returns in JSON format. So we can use this bucket policies to control permissions at resource level, right? So you can allow only one specific IAM user to upload data to this specific S3 bucket, or you want to deny something, or you want to add some conditions. You can depend on this bucket policy to achieve all those scenarios. And this ACL is also same. If you want to share one bucket from one AWS user to another AWS user, or if you want to share it for everyone, you can use this option, right? And there is another option called CORS, Cross Origin Resource Sharing. So this CORS option help us to share the resources from one domain to another domain. Again, yeah, to gain more knowledge on this, you can refer our video. So, but purpose of the CORS, so from one domain data, we can load or we can access from different domain. So for that, we can use this CORS configuration. And another question, how you are going to monitor an S3 bucket? So when you need to know how much data you have, how many objects you have in your S3 bucket, how you are going to monitor that. So for that we have a service called CloudWatch. We can depend on CloudWatch service and we can monitor how many objects we have, what is the total size of that bucket, and we can enable paid metrics, and we can get a lot of information like how many 400 errors we are getting, 500 errors we are getting. So such type of all information we can get with the help of CloudWatch metrics. That is one option. And how we can enable logging for this? So we have an option called CloudTrail. In this CloudTrail, we can create a trail. And we have an option called Data Trail. And again, I'm storing all the trails into an S3 bucket only. So we have an option called data events. So you can select data events, and here you have an option to choose S3 bucket. You can enable logging for all current and future S3 buckets, or you can even specific some number of S3 bucket. I want to enable logging for only these 4 resources. We do have an option to select that operation as well. So now regarding those S3 bucket, data level operation stores in the select S3 bucket. With the help of this CloudTrail, we can even monitor object level operations also. Right, I have prepared a document and let's quickly go through that. So S3 is a object-based storage classes, standard infrequently accessed, one zone infrequently accessed, and how data is organized. Data is going to store in form of buckets. Bucket name should be unique across the globe. What is a bucket policy? Bucket policy is actually written in JSON format. So we can apply or we can control these settings or accesses at resource level. CORS is a web application that load from one origin to interact with another origin different domain. So how can we secure data? We have multiple options with the help of ACLs, bucket policies, IAM policies, encryption, in-transit encryption, at-rest encryption. By using all these options, we can secure our data. So what is versioning? Versioning actually help us to create multiple versions of our objects, multiple files. So same file, if you're re-uploading again and again, a version will create. And if you accidentally override or if you accidentally delete, this version help us to restore the data. And what is the difference between S3 and EBS? So EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage. It's a block storage option where we create this EBS volumes and where we can mount or attach this volume to our EC2 instances, our servers. But this S3 is a object-based storage, right? So, however, the AWS recently introduced an option to mount an S3 bucket to our EC2 instances, but it is not fully mounted one. So, but EBS is a block-based and S3 is a object-based. So, how to enable versioning? You go to bucket properties and we can enable versioning. And what exactly this object URL is? Whatever object we upload to S3 bucket, let me quickly upload and let me show you. I'm uploading an object. Here, whatever the object I uploaded, you see here automatically one object URL generated. So this object URL, whenever we are making the object public, then only this URLs work. So these URLs are internet facing ones. So again, you need to disable block public access. You need to change this object ACL permissions, or you need to apply bucket policies to make that object public. Then only that object URL works. So it works with HTTP and HTTPS protocol. Lifecycle policy to transit data from one storage class to another storage class, we can use this option. Transfer acceleration, with the help of CloudFront, we can accelerate the data transfer speed, upload or download from an S3 bucket. So multi-part upload, we already have a video in our YouTube channel. Please refer that. If you don't know what is multi-part upload and how to configure multi-part upload, so we can take one large file, we can make it as a small parts, and then you can upload that small parts, then you can combine. So that is what this multi-part upload means. So how do you secure data in transit S3? AWS automatically uses SSL or TLS, so obviously it's going to be encrypted. What is the maximum size of an S3 object? 5 TB is the maximum size of an S3 object. What exactly cross-region replication? Not only cross-region replication, we have same region replication and replication to another account also. Whatever the data you have in one S3 bucket, you want to transfer the data to another S3 bucket, you can use this feature. So what is the difference between S3 and EFS? EFS stands for Elastic File System. So it's like, a file system that works with NFS protocol, Network File System Protocol. Again, this EFS also designed to mount to EC2 instances. EBS, you can mount it to only one EC2 instance. But this EFS, you can mount it to thousands of the EC2 instances also. Right, so that is another use case. And what is the use case of S3 Select? S3 Select is an option to querying our data. So this S3 select option help us to reduce the data transfer, improve the query performance. So S3 access points, if you want to access S3 over the network, then we can use this S3 access points. Events notification, when something happening on S3 platform, you can trigger another services like Lambda, SQS, SNS. For that, we can configure S3 events. And how do you monitor? We always have CloudWatch to monitor that, and to logging, we always have CloudTrail data events. And what is the difference between S3 and Glacier? So this Glacier also, like, part of S3, I can say, but AWS designed this as a Glacier for different use cases. Whatever the data you are not going to access frequently, for such type of data, you can store in the Glacier. Right, the data storing in Glacier, we cannot access it immediately. It is designed to store data for longer durations at very, very cheap cost. But S3 data, we can access it immediately, whether it is in S3 or infrequently access or intelligent tiering, we can access data immediately. But Glacier, we cannot access data immediately. We need to initialize the restoration. So how can you optimize cost for S3? So we can use like object lifecycle management roles, and we can use like intelligent tiering if you are not sure about your access pattern, so that you can reduce cost of your S3. And how S3 works with CloudFront. You can add this S3 bucket as an origin for our CloudFront distribution. And also recently I made a video on this S3, integrating S3 with CloudFront. You can refer that video. And S3 storage class analysis, it helps us to decide which storage class to choose for our data. For cost saving purpose, it's a useful option. How we can enable logging? With the help of CloudTrail, we can enable, or if it is just an individual S3 bucket, you go to that bucket and you do have an option to enable server access logging. You can enable logging with that option. So what is S3 select plus glacier? So you can again run queries against glacier data, CORS. Yeah, we can load data from for different domains. So batch operations help us to move. It's like if you want to copy an existing data from a one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket, or if you want to enable tagging and all, you can use this S3 batch operations. In backend, one ECS Fargate engine will run, then that is going to copy all the data. So enable server access logging, we can just go to S3 bucket and we can enable all that logging. And benefits and drawback using this. These are these till 30, you can expect these questions for a fresher. But these remaining 10 questions, you can expect it for experienced guys. So benefits and drawback of S3 over traditional file system. S3 is highly durable, scalable object storage, right? For our web applications, we can use this. So yeah, so and describe a scenario where you have optimized S3 performance and the answer, and how you can secure sensitive data by using encryption. We can secure with the help of KMS encryption keys and IAM policies and bucket policies. You need to answer it as a scenario. And how you would design multi-region or high available architecture using S3 data replication with the help of cross-region replication or same region replication. We can design that. So whenever you're considering large set of data to S3, so what services you're going to use? We have services like AWS Snowball and Data Sync. So we can use that Snowball or Data Sync. And also we can use this multi-part upload to upload large set of data by making it small chunks. So again, if you get any question like, how you are going to handle sudden spikes in that S3 usage, and how you are going to analyze that, right? You can talk about this and explain how S3 can be improve query performance. So S3 select allows us to retrieve specific data, and also we can use prefix mechanism. It's recommended to organize all our data into individual folders, right? Instead of adding all data into directly S3 bucket, you can create a prefix mechanism. You use prefix mechanism and improve the object name randomness. With these options, we can improve the S3 performance. Okay, and bucket permissions, if someone is not able to access, how you are going to troubleshoot, you can verify bucket policies, IAM user policies, and encryption policies also we need to verify, and how you set up a cross account. So I already made a video on this, you can refer that video. So it is possible to replicate data from one account S3 bucket to another account S3 bucket. All you need to do is create a role and configure permissions across both the accounts, both the S3 buckets. So then automatically we can transit data from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket. So as per my knowledge, I have summarized the interview questions, and I have even given quick overview about the features we have on S3. So I hope you find this video helpful, and yeah, I'm going to upload this file into my GitHub channel. So in GitHub, I already uh, made a repository. Okay, I think I lost internet. The yeah, I'll fix it. But there is a repository. I'm going to use a repository to upload this file. I'll give that repository description in our video description. So you can even refer this file. All right. I hope this video helpful, and good luck for your interview. See you again in next video with another service set of interview questions. Thanks for watching. See you again.